Yo, what's good, YouTube? In today's video, I'm giving you guys the top 5 meta loadouts you should be using. If you guys enjoyed this one, be sure to give it a like, and let's hop into it. All right, so let's get in here and break it all down for you guys. But first thing, I want to show you guys my tactical and my lethal. So I frequently run the stim shot as my tactical. If you guys don't want to run that, you can run something like a smoke grenade, and that's perfectly fine as well. For my lethal, I go for a throwing knife, and then if I'm going to take that off, I would throw on something like a Semtex, and those are basically going to be my things I choose between for my lethal, my tactical. And my perk package here goes as follows with a sleight of hand, double time, quick fix, and flex as my perks. You guys can definitely take off sleight of hand and throw on something like mountaineer or something like that, or take off double time and throw a mountaineer. But otherwise, I'd recommend keeping on quick fix and flex. Very, very good perks to be able to have. For my first loadout, let's get in here and build it for you guys. First thing on here is actually going to be the 40 round mag on the MTZ 762. So this is a glitched attachment because I have a blueprint saved from when you guys can actually take the 40 round mag from the conversion kit and actually just put on the regular MTZ. It's got no extra damage values, anything else like that. It's just a 10 round bigger mag. So if you don't have that blueprint saved, just throw in the 30 round mag and you'll be perfectly fine for that next attachment. After that, we're gonna go to the muzzle, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna go throw on a compensator because this gun definitely needs something, and we're gonna go all the way down and throw on the cautious break L. This is gonna help us out that horizontal recoil and our firing aiming stability. Overall, a fantastic attachment that I highly recommend you guys use. After that, going to the barrel section, we're gonna throw on the MTZ Precision Blackthorn Barrel, giving us an increase in bullet velocity and range, aiming auto sway, and of course, firing aim stability. This is just such a good barrel to really extend out our overall range, make this gun feel very hit scan because it increased our bullet velocity by 30%. So we have over 1,000 meter per second bullet velocity, which means that as a battle rifle, you're going to be, just absolutely beaming people. And because it's fully auto with either 30 or 40 rounds, you're going to be taking people out. This is a real hard hitter. After that, we're gonna go up in here to the optic section. This is where you can kind of throw on your optic of choice. For me, I play a lot of Resurgence. So what I find is really beneficial is running something like the Night Hour Model 2023. But if you don't want to go down that route and you'd rather have a bit of a bigger scope on there, we can scroll on down just a little bit farther and throw in the Choreo Eagle Eye 2.5x. Either of these optics are going to work out fine for this particular application. If you want to run the red dot, you can go ahead and do that. If you want to run the Choreo 2.5x, you can do that as well. It's going to work out just fine. Lastly, we're going to go to the stock section, and we're actually not going to throw in an underbarrel because I believe when running the EXF close quarters assault stock is actually more effective than running the Bruin heavy support grip, which would basically be the other option. So I really enjoy actually running this if I have to choose basically between the two. I really enjoy it for recoil control and gun kick control. It gives us 15 and 14% increases, which is absolutely huge, and it just works out very nicely. So this is my full build here for the MTZ. 30 or 40 round mag does not matter. Totally up to you if you have the blueprint or not. It's going to work out great either way. Next up, I want to showcase to you guys the Ram 9. This is one of those new SMGs, and it's actually insanely good. So let's get in here and break it all down for you. So first thing, muzzle, we're actually going to throw in a compensator instead of a silencer, though you could definitely throw on something like the Shadow Strike suppressor if you really want to. The attachment I'm looking for here is this Zem 35 compensator flash hider. This is really good just to shorten our overall radar ping, help with the vertical recoil, horizontal recoil, and firing aiming stability. When you have this build, you're going to be very mobile and you're going to have virtually no recoil, which is really solid. And I really like that. So we have that for our first attachment. Now we're going down to underbarrel section. We're going to throw on the DR6 hand stop for aim walking speed, aim down sight speed, sprint to fire, and movement speed. You really can't go wrong with this. It's just going to make the gun faster, and it's really not going to cost us any recoil control, which is what we're really looking for. So I enjoy that. Now we're going down to the magazine section, throw on the 50 round mag. It, for whatever reason, always glitches out in the main menu here, but the 50 round mag is pretty much what you guys should be running. Always got to run that. No reason to ever run the 40. It's not like it's going to benefit you to run the 40. It's got a high enough fire rate to the point where you should just throw on that 50. Now we're going to go on down to the rear grip section, and we're going to throw on the Haste XV grip tape for tack stand spread and sprint to fire speed. It doesn't give us some stupid crazy benefits. I will actually kind of take that back. Our tack stand spread is giving us a 19%, and our sprint to fire is at 11%. So you're gonna be able to bring this gun up very fast, which can kind of help you in situations when you're trying to compete with like the AMR9, because your sprint to fire is faster than the AMR9. That gun's a little bit slow, which is kind of why I don't tend to use it as much, especially when comparing it to like the HRM or something else like that. So we got this on there. And lastly, we're gonna go back into the comb section, and we're gonna throw on the Recon comb for that sprint to fire, firing aiming stability, and once again, aim down sight speed. So making us very fast, which I really like, giving us a 3% and 18% increase to our ADS speed. And sprint to fire. Fantastic attachment. This is my full build right here. Definitely want to try this thing out. super good SMG. Next up, we're gonna take a look at one of my favorite Resurgence assault rifles, and that's gonna be the Ram 7. This thing has caught a couple nerfs here in more recent updates, but it's still actually insanely good. So let's break it all down for you. So this is going to be one of those unsilenced primaries, which is also going to require a compensator, and that's going to be the cautious break here once again, horizontal recoil and firing aiming stability. This is just one of those guns where we used to be able to run that VT7 Spirit Fire, and you technically speaking still can. You're just gonna have more recoil. I just prefer to have a little bit less recoil, make it a little bit more manageable at those longer range shots, and I can totally deal with having a bit of a radar ping. Not that big of a deal, especially when playing Resurgence and on Vondel. There's just so many different levels of stuff, it doesn't matter. In the barrel section, we have a couple barrels realistically that we can choose from. So the XRK Cormark Heavy 40 barrel is really solid, and then what you can also use is the Cronin Headwind Long barrel. But keep in mind, you're not going to get any recoil control benefits from this, but your bullet velocity will be faster. So we have a plus 25%, 21 and 21%. We go over the Cormark Heavy, it's only plus 12, 13 and 15%. But you do get some benefits on your recoil control. So it's up to you what you want to build run, but you can't really go wrong. You're just gonna have more recoil, but your shots are gonna hit a little bit harder here with this. So for me personally, I go for this barrel, but it's totally up to you guys. Now we're gonna go on down to the underbarrel section, and we're gonna go down and use one of the tried and true grips, which is going to be that Bruin Heavy support grip. We've run this on so many of our different guns, just because it works out very well. Gun kick control, aiming idle sway, horizontal recoil, and firing aiming stability. You'll notice after one of the more recent updates, your firing aiming stability and your aiming idle sway should be a lot better, just because they really minimized it. A lot of guns had too much sway, and it made it bad for, like, especially mouse and keyboard players, and just kind of overall. So they really toned that back and made it so you don't sway as much. So this is basically not going to sway at all. Now to the magazine. We're gonna go throw on that 60 round mag. I'm a 60 round mag kind of guy, and I believe 60 is the way to go. No reason you should be doing anything else other than a 60. Just doesn't realistically make sense. And now lastly, we're gonna go to the stock section, and we're gonna go throw on that HVS 3.4 pad for that increase in gun kick control and recoil control, giving us that increase there of about 20%, 8%, and 8% across the board, which is really solid, making this thing very easy to be able to use and great for a Resurgence assault rifle. It's one of my favorites. I absolutely love using the Ram. I liked it in Warzone 1. I just didn't think it was as viable, and now in Warzone 3, it's insanely good. That's kind of funny. Warzone 1, 2, and 3. Technically, it's still Warzone 2, but I just call it Warzone 3 because MW3 Warzone. But this is my full build right here. Definitely want to try this thing out. Super good. All right, now it's time to give you guys a real fun, hard-hitting build here on the WSP9. I know a lot of people really enjoy using this gun, so I'm going to go ahead and give you guys an absolute banger, an absolute heater of a build for it. So this is going to be actually a suppressed build. Go figure. We haven't used a suppressor in this top 5 yet, but we have the Shadow Strike suppressor, which we're going to be using here on this gun, just to kind of keep us off the radar. I don't really feel like this gun needs a compensator of some sort to slow us down. It just doesn't really feel like it needs it, so we're just going to use the Shadow Strike and be perfectly good with that. In the barrel section, we're gonna go all the way over here, running that Hiss short light barrel, giving us increase in ADS speed, sprint to fire, and sprint speed, but it's also not gonna damage our overall like damage range, our sprint to fire, anything else like that. Like, it's not really gonna mess with anything that's really crucial. It's not gonna totally chock our recoil either. So it just only gives us really pros, which is what I'm looking at, and I think that's great. Now down to the underbarrel section, we're gonna throw on the very first one here, the XRK Edge, aim walking speed, movement, aim outside speed, and sprint to fire. Got to make this thing fast. It doesn't have the fastest fire rate, but the shots hit really hard. So the more we can really speed this gun up so you can get on target, the more of a benefit you are going to be, the more of an advantage you're going to be, as opposed to someone that's got like an AMR9, an HMR9, HRM. You guys get what I'm talking about. But there'll be at more of a benefit here, or an advantage, by having a faster sprint to fire ADS gun. Now we're going to go down, throw on the magazine. We're going to throw on the 40 round mag. I would like to go for the 50, but I don't know what it is. Every time I use the 50 over the 40, it feels like I'm monumentally slower. I just don't like that. So you guys could definitely go for the 50. It's up to you, but I go for the 40, and that seems to be what is the best for me. Lastly, the optics section. Because the iron sights are a little bit chalky, I don't really enjoy them all that much. Don't ever use this, by the way, that Jack Bullseye. That's just horrid. What we're gonna do is we're gonna throw on that slate reflector. So you guys could throw on the slate reflector. You could throw on something like the Nidar model, the MK3 reflector. It's literally totally up to you. It's not gonna make a difference. Personal preference in terms of your red dot optic. It's all what you really want. But for me, I threw on the slate reflector, and I really liked it. So I've been running with it ever since. One of the few guns I actually use it on, but works out great. So this is my full build right here. try this one out when you get a chance. And lastly, we're going to be taking a look at one of the guns that was the most broken recently here in Warzone. That's the TAC Evolver. It actually caught a bit of a nerf here to bring it more in line, because the TTK was like 440 something milliseconds, and now it's at like 600-ish, 650, which actually still puts it towards the top of the meta. So it's still really, really good, but it's just not like broken. So let's move over here and get you guys first attachment, that VT7 Spiritfire, keeping us off the radar, help with the recoil control, bullet velocity, and damage range, just making us more effective at range. It's an LMG, so that's what we're using it for. This is not like a tac stance build or something else like that's been going around that's, you know, real popular to use nowadays, is the tac stance or some of those real crazy movement builds. People are having fun with them, but no, we're using this as an actual long-range LMG. Now for the barrel, we're gonna throw in the LRF Righteous Long Barrel, just really extending out our overall range, helping the recoil control. And it also, kind of funny enough, helps our aim walking speed. So that's actually really cool. You do get some cons here in terms of your overall mobility, but we're not really too worried about that. It is an LMG after all. It's not gonna be that fast. Now down to the underbarrel, we're gonna go throw on the Bruin Pivot Vertical Grip. This is greatly gonna help us out with recoil control, because this thing doesn't fire super fast, and it's kind of like in the same boat as like the WSP9, where it doesn't fire super fast, but it hits really hard. So in order to be able to kind of counteract, like, you know, it's a very hard hitting bullet, and as a result, you get more of that recoil because of, I guess, the caliber or whatever it's shooting. So we're gonna use the Bruin Pivot, and that's gonna help us kind of basically maintain that control. Now we're going back to the optic section. And this is not particularly one of those guns where you should be using a red dot like it's super beneficial, but I actually ran a NIDAR model when I was trying to use this gun, and I mean, it was hitting. It's hitting. So you guys can definitely throw on a NIDAR model if you really want to, or if you want to go down here and run a little bit more of a long range build, a long range setup, go throw on the Choreo Eagle Eye, and that'll be a great attachment. It'll be super easy to be able to use. It doesn't matter if you're playing Resurgence, if you're playing Big Map, works either way. And lastly, we're gonna go throw on a stock, and that is going to be the Rampart Heavy stock. So once again, helping us out with that recoil control, because this gun desperately needs that, and we definitely got it here with that gun kick control and recoil control on this Rampart Heavy. So this is my full build. That's been my top 5. You guys enjoyed, give it a like, subscribe, notifications turned on, check out this other video on screen, and I'll see you all next time.